Welcome to Marina Bay for the fourth round of Season 13. JD Venter on pole from Enoch Huey and B Dragon Sonic. Then it's Theodore Schumacher and Babinus and Akari. Then it's Salos Kynes, Mahavira Gunathan, Ukable, Pastor Maldonado, and Bob marking the halfway point. Then it's MF1 World, Leo, Daniel Bogdasaro, Daph Sanchez, Marcus Nelson, Ravo, and Jaco Tigranes. The championship leader, David Camino, only 19th, and it's Yuki Suo, Neil Rez, and Sebastiano Campo. Round 4, we're under the lights for the second time this season, as all 5 lights go on. And we go green in Marina Bay, and it's a very even start from the top. The guys there, B Dragon Sonic under the red from Theodore Schumacher. So coming through the first chicane, he almost hits the wall, but somebody did hit the wall, but that is Theodore Schumacher, who is out of the E3. And Enoch Huey looks to be involved in that too, and he's dropped all the way down to 7th from second on the grid. But after the absolute chaos that's still occurring coming through turn 1, JD Venter still holds the race lead from B Dragon Sonic and Akari for Pinnacle Formula E. Mahavira Gunathan's found his way up into 4th place. 15 laps of this Marina Bay circuit, and it's a track notorious for having the most crashes in a season, as long as Spielberg isn't on the calendar. We go racing again then, as we now come through the second sector. We're about to go through this hairpin on board with Akari and B Dragon Sonic there. Inet Banners Cable as they come through this part of the track that takes the most drivers' races. And oh, there is another driver who's been taken out, and that's Sebastiano Campo. Rookie mistake there, just lost it on traction. And you can't really blame him. This is the hardest track on the calendar. It's harder than Monaco, especially when it's wet. With Monaco, it's so slow that when it gets wet, nothing really changes. Here, it's quick in areas. As we see into the pits goes Inet Bamness and Enoch Huey will be on board with these drivers for the pit stops. Looked like a pretty slick one from the Volkswagen guys. Let's see how Red Bull takes it. Little bit slower. They held him in just to make sure that everyone got past. And here comes Sebastiano Campo into his pit box for DS Andretti. Front left looked a little bit slow for him. That might come back to bite him later on in the race if he does manage to pull off a race. His win a bit. Here comes David Camino then on Jaco Tigranes. Not quite close enough to make a move there. Can he find his way through on the outside? He just doesn't have the traction yet. He'll keep powering through when the outside becomes the inside. From 2 will become 1. That 1 being 15th place. They're still side by side. We look to Ravo, and into the wall has gone Jaco Tigranes in the number 2 car for Lamborghini Mako. Unfortunate for that new team to the grid. Team that's never run any laps in the FEMC prior to season 13. And as we come across the line to begin lap 3, we will see a flurry, an influx of new fastest laps. Akari with a 124.349. Ukable now with a 124.183. I'm not going to continue lifting the fastest laps when we come in, as everyone's second times are absolutely rapid, even though it's wet. Here comes Jaco Tigranes for his pit stop. And I think Tigranes is going to come out of this down in last place, because the guys behind him definitely would have had more time to, power down straights compared to him, who's got damage. But with 12 laps to go then, we're looking to the race leaders who, while yes they are under a second away from each other, they're not really making too much ground as B Dragon Sonic on JD Venter ahead. The South African driver been on the podium many times in the FEMC. I cannot remember for the life of me whether or not he has won a race, but if ever there was a race for him to win, this would probably be his proudest if he could win. Just taking a look at the radar now, it does seem to tell us that rain should be clearing within the next 4 laps. Of course, it's not 100% accurate as we begin lap 4 of 15, but just be wary in case it does begin to dry up. We go back on board with the 44 car, now looking at many other drivers across the field. Sarah Skynes up in 5th place ahead of UK Ball. Spaniard might actually look to have one of his better finishes in the season so far. It hasn't been the greatest showing for him and his team. Seems like a swap of fortunes between Jaguar and Hyperdrive compared to last season. We look at MF1 now. The 19 car driving for Skoda, and you know what? I don't really have too much to say about Skoda right now. They seem like good. In fact, team says out of the race has gone Leo for Pinnacle Motorsport. Virtual safety car has been called out, and that just looks like a similar incident to what Ocampo faced, but just went a little bit worse for him. I think there's a lot more water off the racing line, which is why he started to slide. Virtual safety car ending then, as we go racing for lap 5 of 15, 10 laps to go. As we see Raggy Nathan come across the line. Daniel Baldassarre now on board with him, the number 97 car for DS Andretti. He's the only team principal of his team as Bob comes into the pits for Renault Edams. Let's take a look at his stop. It's for a new front wing, but they are inclined to switch onto new tyres because it will help with grip. Someone's gone off in the first sector. I'm not too sure as to who that was, but Jaco Segranes, and again, he doesn't have any damage. So, is Lamborghini Mako seeing dry patches of track? Those are mediums. Someone's gone off in the second sector, and it's a virtual safety car. Marcus Nelson's out. JD Venter has spun it. B-Dragon Sonic takes the lead, and the car is out of the race. JD Venter's still there. Oh my goodness me, both Jaguars out. UK Ball up on the wall. Can JD Venter get his Volkswagen going? My goodness me, what's happened with Daniel Baldassarre there? He went airborne. Cameron with a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision. Mielres hits the back of one of those cars there. And Huey with a 5-second time penalty. What is going on? And coming through this turn, everyone's out at an absolute mare. It's a virtual safety car that might last an entire lap here as the track seems to be drying up again and those intermediate tyres are not switched on at all. As into the pits comes the race leader. I expect everyone else to come in. We've got yellows in the third sector for Daniel Baldassarre. And out of the race has gone Einar Babinus. Virtual safety car and Babinus, who is fighting for his seat. This is absolutely not what he would have wanted to have happen. As we see everyone coming to the pits, I don't believe the lineup will still be. What is that top 3? What on? To run through the top 5, it is B-Dragon Sonic from Mahavir Raghunathan and Pastor Maldonado. Then it's JD Venza, and I think Ravo's going to be 5th here. I think Ravo's going to be 5th. Yeah, he is. Oh no, Ocampo, he's been held up because they're double stacking down at Andretti. And because of where Andretti is, it's just... They put him onto hards! Oh no! I don't think there's any way for the comeback kid to come back from this. He's on the hard tyres, he's the only driver out there on hard tyres. What are Andretti thinking? Do they think they can take him to the end? I don't think they should, because there's a high virtual safety car. Oh wait, we've already had 3 in this race. Who's not to say that we might get a 4th or a 5th? It just doesn't make sense to go onto hard tyres. We were on board with Jackie Zagranas now. Looking at JD Venter, definitely lost out in that transitionary period. Ragunathan setting a fastest 3rd sector of anyone in that Red Bull car. Honestly, I think Ragunathan might have a good shot at a first career victory. First race win outside of the Boston series. On board with Daniel Baltasarov. Can he get past Tigranes to get some points? Coming through the double left-hander, that is the final turn. Slips it down the inside. Tigranes makes it a fastest lap, but Baltasarov takes 10th place away from him. That would have been 2 points for Tigranes if he just about managed to hold on. I'm going to say this to the Discord members in the server. Aren't you glad this isn't the race where the budget is being updated? Are you not glad that it was Monaco instead? Because if it was this, half of you guys would be on 0. We're down to 14 runners in this race. And both Pinnacle cars are out. That's the only team that has both of their cars out of the race, and that's just unfortunate for them because Pinnacle burst onto the scene with the all Philippine lineup. The team is based in the Philippines. As Pastor Maldonado sets the fastest lap of the Prix, it's just a bit unfortunate for the team. Camino, I think Camino's reporting vibrations with his mediums. We'll monitor that, as Braun are monitoring that as well. As into the pits is coming to Granas again. I think he's going to go into soft tyres. He hasn't picked up any damage as Sebo Campo sets a new fastest lap of the Prix. Look at Camino now. I think he might be flying a little bit. He just monitors vibrations. And that is the championship leader in 6th place. He's made quite the climb up from 19th where he started to get up to 6th, but he does have a 5-second time penalty, which is, it's unfortunate to be completely honest with you. The fact that he's being beat out by guys who have never stepped on the podium before just shows the absolute parity we have in this and even last season. Ragunathan's come in, Maldonado's also in. That is JD Venter, I think, also coming in with Revo. These are the soft tyre runners in the top 5 coming into the pits on this lap. Yeah, there is Revo coming in. We've got 6 more laps of this Marina Bay Prix to go. And B-Dragon Sonic still leads the way from Mahavir Ragunathan and Pastor Maldonado. Camino, after those pit stops, he's up into 4th place. We're just monitoring the race leader and the championship leader. And, oh, that's very offline from the Braun driver. Not too sure what's going on with him. As into the wall goes the race leader. He's still in the race, but he's lost half of his front wing. So he will need to come into the pits on this lap for that to be fixed. But that just seems like an unforced error. I think he just lost grip coming through there. Happens all the time, sadly. So we're on board with David Camino. Oh, he almost hits the wall there. Yellow flags in the sex. It's innocuous out. Virtual safety car. As Sebo Campo hits him, and Sebo Campo is out. Oh my goodness me, that's Sanchez also hitting him. Bob is also struggling there as well. Revo with a 5-second time penalty for colliding with pretty much everyone. Virtual safety car for the 4th time in this E-Prix. As we go on board with Daniel Baltasarov, everyone bar one currently who finishes this race will get points. we're down to 11 runners. Half the field have retired from this race. Into the pits come both David Camino and Yuki Suo. Braun probably seeing an issue with the tires that just meant that they had to come in. Better safe than sorry with 5 laps to go. Oh, this race has had absolutely everything apart from clean overtakes, because God, these drivers in a straight track, you just have to, at a straight track, you have to be very alert of your surroundings. B-Dragon Sonic, yeah, he's on an offset strategy compared to the rest of the top 5, because when it's swapped over to dry tires, Ravo, JD Venson, Maldonado, Lagunathan, they all went for softs. He decided to go in some mediums, because he knows that if he can pull off a double soft at the end of the race, he'll be the fastest man on track. And you know what? He most definitely is. He's pulled 2 seconds on Lagunathan, even though there was undercut strategy number that just came in and knocks around a lot of stuff. But there goes the number 44 to start lap number 11. The Dragon Sonic starting lap number 11. As many sector times, they haven't been the fastest of everyone, but they absolutely have not been bad. Ocampo still with the fastest lap of the E3, even though he's out of the race. He set that one on hard tires as well. That's very impressive to set a fastest lap on hards. Camino setting the fastest third sector of anyone. I believe, yeah, he got past Ravo on the straight. He missed that overtake. So looking now at the number 88 car. He's currently leading the World Drivers' Championship. As now he comes through this weird section of track. Lagunathan almost hitting the wall there. Mealrides with the fastest third sector of anyone. Pastor Maldonado almost hitting the wall. The tires definitely are beginning to give way, so maybe another pit stop will be required. Tire Wolf definitely needing to look into this. Just for next time out, hopefully they can bring a harder construction of tire. Oh, Ravo almost touching the wall. We have the close to the wall graphic. Well, half of them would say -1 because they're out of the race. And there's another one who would say -1 because the Granas just hit the wall. Luckily for him, there's no major damage on my car. It'll be safe to keep going. We're down to our last 3 laps in this race. The Dragon Sonic leading the way. 6 seconds ahead of Mahave Ragunathan. This isn't another lights the flag victory like we saw in Monaco, but it's been a dominant affair for the Hyperdrive team, as the other Hyperdrive car of Ravo gets passed by Yuki Suo, who almost slams into the wall. Down for Bogdasarov into the pits. I believe he's missing part of his front wing. No, his front wing's still fine. This is a scheduled stop. Tigranes was going to come in anyway. Those tire percentages look unimaginable to keep racing with. As we've got yellows in the second sector, and that is from Mahave Ragunathan, who's just gone himself out of there with little consequence. And Ravo's gone past as David Camino into the wall has just gone JD Venson, but Paul Sitter has hit the wall on lap 12. And what's happened with Camino has dropped off 3 whole seconds as Ravo slams into the barriers. And there is David Camino, and Camino's got a puncture! Oh, as if Braun GP's day couldn't get any worse. The championship leader started down in 19th place, made his way up into 6th, then 5th, but he's got a 5-second time penalty. His teammate out of the race, but Camino himself with a puncture. Ragunathan and Maldonado and JD Venson all come into the pits to start lap 13 on 15, 2 to go. And this is Camino's championship lead evaporating at the seams. If he can finish this race though, considering how far back Tigranes is, he will still probably come home with at least 1 point. even with that 5-second time penalty. And into the wall goes the race leader for the second time in this race. I do believe he's meant to come into the pits at the end of this lap to switch on to new softs. He's 19 seconds ahead of Mahavir Gunathan as well, which means it's in short, there is no real problem there. Just closing my door, they're hoovering. We look now at Bob in the number 11, who is... Oh, into the wall! Out of the race! Yuki Suo! Virtual safety car! And that means everyone who finishes this race has guaranteed points. Guaranteed points for everyone who finishes, because we're down to 10 cars as Bob hits the wall. Thankfully, if it wasn't for that virtual safety... Oh, his teammate also in the wall. They've both lost their front wing. But Mule Reds did it cooler, if you ask me. Now, if you look at Renault Edams, there are only actually 2 cars that have both of their drivers still in this race. That's Hyperdrive Racing and Renault Edams. On this penultimate lap of this, the most chaotic race we've seen in a long time. The Dragon Sonic leads the way from Mahavir Gunathan and Pastor Maldonado. As Bob comes into the pits, I expect his teammate to also come in, so they'll be double stacking. They are double stacking at Renault Edams. You only really see double stacking in these kinds of races under safety car, under virtual safety car. You never really see them in the drive. Pretty slick pit stop from the Renault group. As we go on board with the number 7 of Revo. The way you can tell apart the 2 hyperdrive cars is one of them has the Italian flag and red gloves, and the other one has this, a cross, and yellow gloves. As we see Revo on the inside of Daniel Bogdasarov. Can he take away 5th place from him? It will become 6th. If it was to finish like this, they go side by side still. We missed that. Bogdasarov spins. Forced into the wall by Revo. No collision, so no penalty, but 2 into 1 there does not go. We're on to the final lap of the Prix. Jacket Tigranes goes by, and we've got yellow flags in the second sector, and that is... I'm not too sure who that is for. Might be for Revo, I cannot tell. But we're on to the final lap of this Prix. B-Dragon Sonic from Mahavir Gunathan and Pastor Maldonado. Fastest first sector for B-Dragon Sonic. If he can string this up, look at how well he goes through here. This could be the lap of the weekend for Hyperdrive Racing. If he can just string together the final 2 sectors, this is it. This could be the lap of the weekend. Bogdasarov doesn't pit. Pit lane entry has closed. Bob goes past the DS Andretti car to put himself up into 7th place, as we got yellow flags in the second sector for Mahavir Gunathan. And a virtual safety car, Pastor Maldonado, is out of the Marina Bay Prix. Virtual safety car has been deployed. And JD Venter, he'll be very happy with this. He'll get a podium after all. But coming through the final few turns, for the second weekend in a row, the master of the streets has reappeared. And his name is B-Dragon Sonic, who comes across the line and wins the Marina Bay Prix. Mahavir Gunathan, coming through the last 2 turns, he will take home his first podium in the Formula E Monoposto Championship. We've still got yellow flags in a virtual safety car, because out of the race have gone Bob and Bogdasarov. They're both on the wall. Camino's still going to come home with a P6 finish. Tigranes, he spent most of this race down in last. He'll come home with 5th. A real race of attrition this one was. And I will never recover. My voice will never recover. I think I have to start with Price. this is your podium then, after the most wildest of races. B-Dragon Sonic takes home the race win from Mahavir Raghunathan and JD Venter. As for the rest of the finishes, you can see them in your own time. This has been the Marina Bay Prix. I'll be glad to see you guys next time when the championship returns in Las Vegas. But as for me, see ya.